Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode number 7 of Our Underground Life. Today, I'm going to show you a little bit of the spring planting that's going on our homestead. As I do this introduction, it is Monday, February 22nd, 2016, and I actually did this video over the last couple of days, and the conclusion I'm doing today because I didn't like the first conclusion I did. So in case you notice that there's sun and the sun is in a different place, yep, new conclusion for today's video because I didn't like the one I did yesterday. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's get planting some stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about for our spring planting is the peach trees. Notice they are in 20-gallon pots, but look how big around. Benjamin, maybe you can just put your hand down at the base. Look how big around the base of the tree is. Why did I put them in pots? Well, Benjamin, how big are these trees supposed to be?
5 feet tall.
Not more than 5 feet tall. When I bought them, they were mini dwarf nectarine and peach grafted together, and they weren't supposed to get any taller than 5 feet. Well, when we were still living in Plano, all of a sudden one day one pot tipped over, and it kept tipping over, and we had to put it back up, and finally we noticed that the root had started growing out of the bottom, and they started to creep a little higher than 5 feet. And we've been here a little over 2 years now, and I've had to work hard to get these things to stay at 6 feet. If I would have just let these go, they would have probably been 10 feet now, but 10 feet tall by now. And so what happened? I talked to the horticulturist from Rain Tree Nursery where I bought these, and she said, well, it sounds like they lost their root graft. I had no idea mini dwarf trees could lose their root graft, but apparently that's what's happened. They've gotten huge. So we're going to be planting the peach trees where, Benjamin?
Over there by our house.
In front of the house. So let's go check out what Jerry,
So they can grow.
Right.
And they're
now,
as big as they want.
not as big as they want. I'm still gonna do my best to keep them pruned down to about 7 to 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
But they're really sad in these pots because these pots are way too small for as big as the roots have gotten. So let's go over in front of the house and see what Jerry's working on. Daddy is working on. So we've dug the holes to put in the peach trees. You're supposed to dig the holes something like about twice as wide, maybe wider, but we did about twice as wide as the pots are wide when you're transplanting. And Jerry is putting metal flashing in on the north side of the holes because that's where the house is, and we just want to make sure that the roots are discouraged from growing that way. Like I said, I am going to keep them pruned down, but the roots still might want to go where they go. Alright, and now we'll take a look at the actual transplanting of a peach tree. So all the pots have been placed into the holes. Now Jerry is cutting down the seam of each smart pot. That's going to be the easiest way to get the pots off.
Go.
So all the smart pots have been removed, and of course now we get to fill the holes in with the soil. And what we're doing is we're going to fill them in. A couple of them are lower than the level that Jerry dug at, so there's automatic basins. The ones that are about level, we're going to build up a basin around them, and that way they'll catch when it rains, the water will go into where the roots are. It'll be easier to keep them moist. There we go. We got all 4 peach trees in and bermed. And the background noise of a gunshot. This is Saturday, and sometimes you hear people target shooting. That's what happens when you live in a rural area. And you see we've got all 4 trees snug in the ground, a lot more space than they used to. And hopefully the roots will be happy enough that we'll actually have some flowers and fruit. And Benjamin's helping out here with his bulldozer. He's smoothing out an extra pile of rock and dirt that we had left over from digging up the holes. So part 1 of spring planting, it has begun. What I want to do right now is just kind of scan the garden for you, show you what it looks like on February 21st, 2016. Not real impressive because I was very stressed out last fall about getting our house finished. Had only a fraction of the things come up because I didn't water them out the way I needed. I didn't have a way to start them inside, so I seeded them all outside, which also made me waste a lot of seeds. I know there's a big controversy about starting from seed outside is better and yada yada, but I found in this area it's really better if you can get the plants to a decent size and then put them out, because then the bugs don't eat them all up and the seeds don't get washed away. And so there's a lot of things that I'm not going to have to plant this spring. I do have a bunch of cilantro. It is starting to go to seed because it's been in the garden for a long time. But I do have some lettuce here. I have some lettuce, a little bit of lettuce in the row over there, next to that row cover that's on the ground. And I have lettuce in another bed. You're going to see another dock. Dock is good in our smoothies. Show you the broccoli. The broccoli is actually coming along. It might actually start growing flowers pretty soon. It's been here since, when did I plant this? Last October. Of course, I planted more than what actually grows. But, I mean, they're big enough now that I can take leaves off of, maybe 3 plants, and that's enough greens for a meal for me and Jerry. So, there you go. But pretty much not a whole lot going on right now. Some onions that have been overwintered. These are my new lasagna garden beds that I'm going to be using for the summer crops. So what I want to show to you right now, get real specific about our spring planting. My point here is that there are some things I don't have to grow because they've been here since fall and we're still picking off them, like these kale. But there's some things I want to grow some more. Those carrots need to grow a bit bigger. And there's also space around the edges where I had I'm going to take out the weeds and fill in the spaces. And I'm going to do the same thing with this this sort of raised bed that's lettuce at the bottom. I'm just going to add more seeds. It's going to be raining in the next few days, so I won't have to water them. And I'm also going to be planting peas. So let's get going with that. I'll stop and point out the arugula to you. It's going to seed. But the thing about arugula is when it bolts and goes to flower, it's still, the leaves taste the same. I mean, they have a kind of a really spicy flavor, and it pretty much keeps that same flavor even after they bolt. It's not like lettuce that gets totally bitter after it goes to seed. So this is going to be awesome. This is going to be forever arugula probably here. It'll just keep regrowing. All right, so for some reason I have a hole here. Oh, because I dug it. I actually harvested a carrot out. I want to make sure everything is smoothed down. And get all these weeds out. I want to have room for carrots, not weeds. Here, tuck that over here and use it as mulch. So people freak out about weeds in their garden. Oh no, they're evil. Well, the one thing you can do is pull them out and then turn them upside down. And it's compost, it's mulch. So I like to let weeds grow just to a certain size, just for that reason. Sometimes they provide a kind of living mulch too. If it's a low growing weed that doesn't take up a lot of, the roots don't grow very deep. And it's probably good enough for now. And I've got some grass over there. Sowing them pretty thickly. This is very loose soil, and so carrots can grow really close together in really loose soil. So I'm seeding them pretty thickly. because I want a lot of carrots. And now carrot seeds you're not supposed to really cover, but I've got some topsoil I'm just going to sprinkle on real lightly. The reason is that it'll help keep the, got a rock, help keep the seeds in place when it rains. But you just want to barely cover up carrot seeds. Now, this trellis this year and from now on is going to be used for kiwi. We're going to plant a female kiwi there and a male kiwi at the other end. But the kiwis aren't coming for another month, and it's going to take a while for them. You know, it's going to be summer before they're really growing across. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plant my peas right over here. Now I had peas over here. You can see the dead plants. Those are peas that I grew, that I planted last fall. But you're not supposed to see a rogue beet over there. You're not quote unquote supposed to plant beans and peas in the same place. There were beans and peas last time. So I'm going to follow that rule this once, and it depends on how you amend your soil and stuff like that. But I'm going to go ahead and plant them over here. So what I'm planting are actually dwarf, it's a sugar snap pea that's dwarf. It grows to about 2.5 feet tall. Supposedly they don't need trellising, but they really do. I have a video about that somewhere. But when you plant peas, it's real easy. Just plant them 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep, cover them, and we have a really good chance of rain tomorrow, so I'm not going to bother watering them. So what I've done is I've planted peas along, what is it, probably not 10 feet, but at least a good 8 feet. Well, probably say I didn't plant the whole thing, about 6 feet of peas. I planted them about every 1 to 2 inches. So there you go. Peas are really easy to plant. You just need to make, the tricky thing about peas is to keep them moist enough, but they're otherwise pretty easy to grow and fix nitrogen in the soil too. So there you have it. Like I said at the very beginning, I'm redoing this conclusion because I didn't like the first one I did. But there you have it. How to transplant trees that have been growing in pots for several years. Of course, you'll be seeing how they're doing, how healthy they are. Hopefully they will be. Still look all right now. And also, how it's been going with my garden. I could be seriously disappointed in it, but frankly, even though not nearly the seeds germinated that I planted, and even though it took forever for stuff to grow because I didn't get it planted soon enough and I didn't cover it with row covers or I didn't get them started inside, yada yada yada, still we have enough greens in the ground now that in about a month we're going to have greens going up the wazoo. We'll probably be able to be cutting greens twice a day. So that's going to be cool. So I'm definitely going to keep you updated, better updated on how we're growing and producing food, because you know, you guys need to see that yeah, we struggle. We don't, you know, I've had to go through a steep learning curve. I know how to garden in a suburb where there's hardly any grasshoppers. And where the soil is mostly clay, and I understand how much it needs to be watered, and yada yada yada. And I've had to learn new stuff coming out here where the soil is mostly sand, and we've got tons of other insects and lots of grasshoppers. So, you know, follow us with our gardening and growing stuff, and we'll be providing you with hacks and encouragement that even if you screw up, you know, it's never a total loss. You always get something and you learn something new every day, right? Every year, I should say, when it comes to a garden. And it's all good. Well, thank you for watching this episode of Our Underground Life. Subscribe if you want to keep on keeping up with our homestead here in Southeast Oklahoma. We'll see you for the next episode, and until then, take care.